For this lesson, we're going to start importing everything you need to begin the editing process. Before we do that, I want to really stress the importance of labeling your files and saving them neatly in easy access folders. I know I've mentioned this already when it comes to where you're saving your project, but it's equally as important when saving your footage, your sound effects, and so much more that we're going to be using in Premiere. Now, the first thing we're going to import is not the raw footage, but instead the media that will help jazz up your video. If you're a YouTuber, you're going to start amassing a lot of audio effects, memes, and other reusable material. Again, make sure all of these are in a neat folder that is easy to locate outside of Premiere Pro, so that importing them is a breeze. For instance, I have my sound effects and memes clearly labeled like this. To import these folders, all you have to do is go to where these folders are located on your computer and drag and drop that folder onto the project panel. That's the bottom left panel. And bam! That's a beautiful, neatly packed folder that has translated all of your organization efforts into Premiere Pro for you. This is so useful because you can now drag and drop the same organized folder into every project when you begin from now on, giving you easy access to all of your reusable content. You can also hit File and Import, which is another easy way to import your content. The shortcut for this is pressing Ctrl and I on Windows or Command and I on Mac. Now let's import your video files. Again, make sure your video files are in a clearly labeled folder. I always keep footage for each project in separate folders with subfolders for different cameras I've used. Ideally, you want to have recorded your footage in 1080p or 4K and at 24 or 60 FPS, as those are pretty much the standards for all video content. But it's okay to have a mixture of sizes and frame rates, and we'll go into that more when we create our first sequence on the timeline. Now back to our footage. Drag and drop your neatly organized folder full of video files onto the project panel. And look at that, your footage is imported. How easy was that? And if there's anything else you want to import, such as additional footage and media at a later date, then go through the same process again, dragging and dropping your folders and media directly onto that panel. It's worth noting that Premiere lets you put almost anything in your project. You can have GIFs, JPEG images, and much more. The full list of supported formats is on the Adobe website, and I've included a link in the additional materials. A few bonus tips. You can create a new folder within Premiere itself. Just click the New Bin button in the project panel, and that will create a new folder, or as Premiere calls them, bins. This will help with extra organization within Premiere, although I do recommend having as much organized before your import to Premiere as possible. You can also change the way that you view your folders. The list view is my preference, but you can easily change to the icon view using this button in the bottom left. This gives you a mini preview that can be really helpful if you want that visual reminder of what you've imported. You can also have the freeform view. You can adjust the slider here to zoom in and out and get a closer look at the file names or those icons. Also, it's worth saying that if you go into folders and want to come back to see the other files again, you can click this little button. It's a lot like browsing files in Windows or on Mac. Now, I want to address a question that I get all the time when it comes to my videos, which is, where do I get my sound effects? The truth is, you should source your own, whether that's from YouTube or from a royalty-free website. You can purchase licenses for sound effects, and you can buy sound effect packs that will help save you a lot of time and really help make your videos feel more professional. I highly recommend getting a lot of transition sound effects like bassy whooshes, cinematic drops, hits, that sort of thing. Sound effects are often subtle, but they can make a world of difference to your videos, and we'll go into those a lot more later. And that's it. You've imported your footage, sound effects, and media. For now, you're all sorted with the basics of importing. And when you're ready, let's talk about some basic shortcuts before we get cutting up your footage.